Let's go. Welcome back into the Skooshi Sport podcast. And today we're going to be, this morning, we're going to talk about the obvious fact that the big NRL news that's been happening around in the last sort of 24 hours. If you've been living under a rock or you're not sure what's happened, Payne Haas is leaving the Brisbane Broncos at end of 2026 to join the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Literally came so far out of the blue and it was just absolutely crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about Adam Reynolds also retiring at the end of the year, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a trial review as well for the last few minutes of the podcast as well. But main thing is definitely going to be Payne Haas. We're going to talk about Payne Haas going to South Sydney for 3-year contract from 2027, so 2028 and 2029. Now, it came right out of the blue. It was absolutely out of the blue. Like, usually in the NRL world now you hear whispers, or you hear rumors, that sort of thing. And something that just came up on my phone Sunday afternoon. I was strolling through the streets of Melbourne and then got a tweet and it said, Payne Haas leaving the Broncos off to South Sydney. This was something I literally did not believe at first. Like, it feels like the Luka Doncic to Lakers NRL version of that kind of thing. And it was just like, no way. No way. Like, something that's a fake story. It can't be true. And it later got confirmed by South Sydney. It later got confirmed by the Broncos. And it was just like, what the hell? The latest news that I knew of before that was that Payne Haas's management was going to be talking with the Broncos, I thought, after the World Club Challenge to discuss extensions and that sort of thing. And Wayne Bennett has just obviously pulled us something out of his hat to lure him to South Sydney. Apparently, Latrell and David Fifita were a big part of it as well. Obviously, we know that Payne Haas and Latrell have played Origin together, and then Fifita and Haas used to be at the Broncos together as well. Now, for me, I can't imagine just those two players. Sorry, my camera's straight. I can't imagine just those two players having that big of an influence that it led Payne Haas to go to a different state and a club and then just go to Souths as well. Then the second one was, okay, like obviously we're like Keano Koloamatangi is leaving South at the end of this year to go to the Dragons on a 5-year deal. What kind of money are Souths bringing for Payne Haas to bring him down to South Sydney? And I was thinking in the modern salary cap, if it's 3 years, you're probably looking at the most expensive player in the NRL around the 1.3 million mark. 1.5, I would have said. Honestly, close to 1.5 million. Getting to that type of level where the players are starting to earn that type of money, and if Souths are trying to land the best forward in the NRL, probably of all time in our generation, definitely, what kind of money are they offering? And at first, I was just like, it's got to be 1.5. They're just got to be absolutely like giving him the bag. Now the news has come out. Apparently, it is the same contract, same amount, 1.2 million, which is still absurd amount of money, right? Absurd. And I'm not sure what Koloamatangi was on, but obviously definitely an upgrade from Koloamatangi. And 1.2 million, 3 years. It just makes you think. And I was listening to the bloke in a bar with Kempy talk about this, and it's just like, what were the other sort of differences in the contract that actually led Payne Haas to go from Brisbane down to South Sydney? And like, let's start there. And obviously, I think I'll start there and I'll get into the next thing. Because the first thing is, sounds like there's clauses in the contract, right? There's R360 clauses in the contract. We know that Payne Haas has been lured to go to R360, the Saudi League, last year. There were rumours that he had signed for it. There were rumours that he's definitely going to go. Then that's fallen underwater for a couple years. I believe R360 is going to be starting in like 2028 or 2029. If I was to have a guess, I would actually say Payne Haas doesn't see out his contract at Souths. That is just my first initial thought. I would be thinking with the clauses that he's got in his contract that he can go to R360 and get out if he needs to. I would think he's going to play 2027, 2028. I don't think he'll be there for 2029. That is no source. That is just a hunch feeling. I don't think he'll see out his 3-year contract there at South. If he does, fucking good on him and fucking good on South that They've managed to pull that off. I can't see him spending longer than 3 years at South. Considering the other players that they have in the team, you'd think Fafita in the next contract will probably be going up to more money. Dry Gray is going to want more money. Obviously, he signed a contract in the off season. You're probably going to have another 7 or a 6 that's coming through. You've still got Latrell there. You've still got all these type of players there that are going to be needing big money. Campbell Graham, obviously Alex Johnson will probably be retired by then. All these things, like, are they going to have a better number 9? Like, Cheese might want more money by then. It's going to be a huge sort of, I guess, clusterfuck for Sydney, South Sydney, in the next sort of 2 to 3 years when it comes to that. But obviously, the way they're approaching this is they now think, obviously, they may think they're a premiership team this year, but they are definitely thinking for the next couple of years, 2027 and 2028, they are a premiership caliber team. Sorry, I just knocked my camera there. They are a premiership caliber team, and you can't disagree with that. You definitely can't disagree with that. They are now in a position where they now have the best forward of all time in their front row for contractually the next 3 years from after this year, which puts them in a huge position to go win a premiership, considering when you've got the likes of Dry Great fullback. I'd say Alex Johnson will be retiring within those next 3 years. You've got Campbell Graham in the other wing. You've got Latrell Mitchell at one centre. We'll talk about Jack Wine in a little bit and who's going to go. Cody Walker's probably going to be retired. You've got like Jamie Humphries there as well. You could be having another 6 coming through. You've got like Cheese and Mamazelos there. Do they go for another better number 9 there? You've got Dave Fafita. You've got Jai Arrow there as well. You've got Carlos Duncan. He's probably going to be on more money come then. It's an absolute stacked team now when you look at that team in 2 to 3 years' time. And as long as Wayne Bennett's there, they are a huge, huge chance of being a premiership threat in the next couple of years. And I can't see them not being close to favourites next year now for the premiership and the ongoing years. It just completely switches the wheel for South. It's a massive, massive, massive signing for South. Like, massive. You can't like almost describe it in words. Like, obviously, I'm talking about it now. You can't like write it. That a fact that a player this big, you just generally don't see them leave a big club that is Brisbane to go to another big club as well. Like, you just generally see them as a one club man. And like, obviously Fafita going to the Titans was huge, but Payne Haas is on another level of player compared to Fafita. We're talking about one of probably the best players in the NRL, easily top 3 going on in the NRL at the moment, and probably is going to go down as the best front rower of all time. And I'm not sure what it was from Payne Haas's view, whether it's a legacy thing, whether like his dad is a massive South fan, which could have been a bit of a lure. Is he wanting to obviously do it for his legacy? Is he wanting to win another premiership with a second club? Is he wanting to, go down the Glenn Lazarus sort of route and, yeah, as I said, win another premiership with another club? Potentially. We know he represents New South Wales in Origin, represents Samoa now in internationals there. And it's just massive. Like, it's just, you can't honestly have expected this to happen. And Brisbane Broncos are a huge club. They're probably the biggest club we have going around, apart from like maybe someone like the Roosters, but probably the biggest club going around in the NRL. They get the biggest crowds every single year on average to their home games. They are the premiership winners of last year as well. And they're just a club that everyone generally likes to go to. You're going to have big players there all the time. You're going to have probably generally a good coach there all the time, good systems in place. They're just a big club overall. Obviously, the salary cap is the same, but they do have a lot more money than other clubs going on in the NRL. Hence, they can play at a 52,000 stadium every week and nearly pack it out every single home game that they have. They get countless opportunities, primetime games, all that sort of thing. They're a big club. And it just generally means if you have a big player, whether it's like you look at it like a Darren Lockyer or like your Shane Webkes, that sort of thing. Like these players in the past, they just did not want to go to another club because they're already playing for the biggest club in the NRL. Now, don't get me wrong, South Sydney is one of the biggest and oldest clubs going around in the NRL. But it's just massive to think that I get the motto that no player is bigger than the team. And I get that. However, I think there is an asterisk when you put it next to that, where you look at someone like, we just talked about Luka Doncic, like in NBA. There's some in NFL as well. There's just some players in the sporting world that are just so freaking good at what they do that you do whatever you can to try and keep them at the team to keep pretty much success going. If they're at the club, you're gonna most likely have success there. And Brisbane Broncos with Payne Haas were a very hard chance of low chance of not competing for a premiership year in, year out. Like I said, they won it last year. They got close in 2023. And it's just bonkers, man. It's just bonkers. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, going on from that is why. And so the two players I want to say about the Broncos is Reece Walsh, and Payne Haas are you two players at that club. You pretty much try and do anything you can to try and keep them at the club. We actually know Reece Walsh took a pay cut to stay at the Broncos so they could keep players like Renault, like Payne Haas, like Paddy Carrigan there. And now it's sort of, not in a way, come back to bite him, because I know as long as Reece Walsh is there, they'll have success and they'll find a good replacement. It's big, massive opportunities for Xavier Willison to step up next year. But I just feel like if you're the Broncos, you look at that and you go like, there's two players on this team that have to stay at the club for the rest of their careers, and that is Reece Walsh and that is Payne Haas. This will probably go down as one of the biggest NRL signings we have within the next 20 years, I'm thinking. It's probably the biggest I've had in my lifetime. The only one I can think of is Cooper Cronk going to the Roosters for 1 or 2 years at the end of his career there. Obviously, he built his legacy at the Storm, though. He had 1 or 3 premierships there, and Roosters got him. So you can kind of understand that in a way. This is just a massive shock. It's just a huge shockwave through NRL, and one that stayed quiet. And something I actually really like, the fact that it stayed quiet for a really long period, until it got released. As I said, usually you hear rumors, usually you hear whispers, and it's like Payne Haas is going to the Roosters, Payne Haas is going to R360. There's always rumors, especially for a big name player like Payne Haas. And for this to just come out, and for me in one tweet to see it, and just go bang, Payne Haas is going to South Sydney in 2027 on a 3-year contract. It's just like, whoa. Big bombshell has just dropped. Drop everything that you're doing right now. For me, it was walking through streets, hang on, let's stop, post about it, scramble, message all my mates, message all the group chats. Payne Haas is leaving the Broncos. Unbelievable, just crazy scenes, right? So the next thing I want to bring up is how are Souths affording this? How are Souths with, you look at, spoke about Jai Gray, Latrell Mitchell, Alex Johnson, Campbell Graham, I think I mentioned Latrell, Jack Whiten, Cody Walker, Jay Humphries will be on better money soon, David Fifita, all these players, right? The list goes on. And for me, I've heard this from a mate who's a South supporter as well. I would be pretty confident in saying that Cody Walker will probably be retiring at the end of this year or moving on for one more year. I'd say he'll be a one-club man. I'd say this would be Cody Walker's last year. And I would be saying that Jack Whiten won't be there next year either. Jack Whiten, I think, is on $800,000 a year. If they can replace that with a guy that's on $400,000, $500,000 a year center, then that's kind of where you get your money difference between going from Koloamatangi to Payne Haas there. That's where you sort of get your decrease there, along with Cody Walker going to, Ashton Ward, and obviously having Jamie Humphries there in the halves there as well. So I can see how Souths have done it. I can't imagine them having too much money left in the salary cap. The fact that they didn't have to offer higher for Payne Haas and they just did it with clauses either speaks volumes about the club, or they were they couldn't offer any more. And it's just, you probably would have thought if they had more money in the cap that they would have just offered it straight up with no clauses that he can go to R360. He's obviously looking in the future to have that massive, massive payday, whether it's going to be 3 million, whether it's going to be 4 million, to go to R360 in the future there and really obviously set up his career and family for the rest of his life and future generations, which you have to understand that point of view. Look at Dylan Brown going to Parramatta to Newcastle, 13 million. It's a massive amount of money, guys, but it's just interesting the fact that he is on the same amount of money next year in the next 3 years that he was at the Brisbane Broncos. So it's just like, yeah, it's hard to comprehend. And now you look at the Broncos next year, it's a huge opportunity for Xavier Willison, absolutely massive. You cannot put into words how big of an opportunity it is for Xavier Willison now to step up into this role now and really get his opportunity now in the front row and the biggest club in the NRL. We know he's an absolute tank. He's 2 meters tall. He's got massive size on him, and it's a massive opportunity to really put his stamp into this comp, put his authority into this comp, get his opportunity to maybe represent the Kiwis in the front row as well. It's a huge opportunity, and that's something that cannot go unnoticed for a guy like Xavier Willison. Even a guy like Ben Takura, even maybe Ben Tolte there as well. They will be looking at this opportunity thinking, wow, we've really got to knuckle down hard this year. Because come round 1 next year, that is a prime time spot in that front row. And a spot we never thought would, see exist. Obviously, you've got Corey Jensen there as well. And it's just a massive to replace that number 10 jersey there at Brisbane is a huge honour and huge opportunity for someone there at Brisbane. And a guy like, you got to probably look at a guy like Jonah Pezzett, who's probably looking at next year and thinking, sweet, I'm probably going to go into that 7 jersey. Got probably the best front row in front of me. Now he's got no Payne Haas. Reece Walsh must be thinking, holy shit, my captain and Payne Haas have just retired in the same, not retired, but moved in the same day. What is going on? He's just lost 2 of his best players essentially in the team. It's crazy the amount of things that you can actually talk about. But I just wanted to jump on here and just sort of, I guess, give my thoughts and just spew out a bit of shite and just what my thoughts are on the Payne Haas situation, because it's massive for the game and massive for Souths in the next few years. As I said, I do not think Payne Haas will see out his 3-year contract. I think you definitely get at least 1. I think you get 2 though. I think you'll get 2, and I think if all keeps going well with R360, if they end up having a comp there, I think you'll see him end up in R360 come 2029 or something like that, get his big payday, and whether he comes back to the NRL in the future, I'm not sure. I just don't think with the clauses that they've put, they obviously know something that Payne Haas and his management have said, we are looking to go there in the future. We want a contract that lets us go there, or lets Payne go there in the future. And maybe that was the big difference between Brisbane and South, that Brisbane didn't want to put clauses in the contract. They just want to keep doing 1-year extensions or maybe a 2-year extension, and not let him go to R360. Essentially, they want to lock him down for as long as possible, which I can understand. But now, as I said, this completely opens up the window for a Souths premiership in the next couple years. Definitely. As long as Payne Haas is there, you've got to give this team some sort of chance to go win a premiership. As I said, now that you've got Latrell Mitchell there as well, one of the better players in the comp. Jai Gray is only going to get better and better. You got one of the best try scorers of all time in Alex Johnson, the best try scorer of all time in Alex Johnson. And it just completely opens up a whole new world for South now that you've got a legit forward pack. And don't get me wrong, Coloman telling you is awesome, but was he really the guy, the alpha dog in that front row there to get them to a premiership? Yes, but no. We're talking about the best front row of all time here in Payne Haas. So massive get for South Sydney, massive loss for Brisbane Broncos. As I said, I think you only see out 2 years of his contract there, but yeah, huge news. Other thing I want to bring up is the same afternoon, literally in that evening there, is Adam Reynolds has announced he will be retiring at the end of this year. Absolute stellar career. I'm not sure when he made his debut in the NRL. I think it was around 2010, 2011. Huge career for Adam Reynolds. Two-time premiership winner, dual premiership winner, Souths and at the Broncos. Sounds like it was sort of mission accomplished for him last year, winning that premiership with the Broncos. Obviously had that heartbreak in 2023. And it's not the most surprising thing in the world. As I said, we know he's just always generally had injuries all of the year. He got injured in that grand final. What's his age now? I think he's sort of 37 now as well. He's going to be 36 this year, so he'll be 36 when he retires. As I said, stellar career, right? Absolute stellar career. And the captain of the Brisbane Broncos, again, another loss for Brisbane heading into next year, but something that we probably didn't see coming on the same day or pre-season. I thought probably would have happened during the season just to see how his body felt. Maybe the Payne Haas news kind of just spurred him on to sort of get that out of the way. We know Jonah Pezzit's going there next year, and they obviously haven't signed Jonah Pezzit to be a backup. They've signed Jonah Pezzit to be their next halfback of Brisbane there. I potentially thought maybe Pezzit goes there and redshirts for a year and learns under Reynolds for 1 year, but looks like that's obviously not going to be happening. Pezzit will start at 5'8" for Eels this year and then move on and play 7 for, I said, arguably the biggest club in the NRL, which is this massive opportunity for Jonah Pezzit, being in that Storm system for a bit. Obviously stuck behind Munster and stuck behind Jerome Hughes. They now gets his opportunity now to be the starting 7 at the Brisbane Broncos next year, which is massive, right? Absolutely massive. And it really definitely changes the dynamic of the team, because now you're going to look at this team next year, because Ben Hunt will be pretty close to retiring there as well. Just going to look up Ben Hunt's age now. I said he must be getting on there as well. He is 36 this month. Next month as well. So he's going to be the same age as Adam Reynolds this year as well. He's got to be pretty close to retirement there as well. So now you potentially could be looking at by next year Reece Walsh, Ezra Mam, Jonah Pezzit, and maybe Blake Moser there. Obviously, you got Billy Walters there as well. Now, no Payne Haas in the front row. The Brisbane team next year looks completely different, and obviously we're a full season away from that, but I cannot wait to start doing previews for this team heading into next year. It's going to be unbelievable what Madge is going to be able to do, whether he goes for a big off-season move. Obviously, now you've got $1.2 million in the bank now to go sort of explore. Probably more now that Adam Reynolds is leaving and you've gone down to Jonah Pezzit. Potentially Ben Hunt leaving as well, but he was on a pretty low contract there as well. It's just the doors are completely open, man. You've got Selwyn Cobbo money there as well. It's just like, oh my goodness. Brisbane Broncos probably have a lot of money now next year to go and really open up a lot of doors for them heading into next year, which is crazy to think about, and very different dynamic heading for Brisbane next year. So I just wanted to briefly talk about Adam Reynolds obviously retiring. The number 7, you're going to have different goal kicker next year. Probably be Reece Walsh. It's just a completely different dynamic. And Jonah Pezzit is a different player to your Adam Reynolds as well. Going to be very interesting to see how Madge goes about coaching this team and where he looks into this next year. And I'm definitely not discounting Madge's ability at all. He's won premierships now at the Broncos, Souths. He's been part of the Kiwi team that smashed Australia. Was it 38-0 a few years ago? He's won a Origin series in Brisbane that decided with New South Wales. He's won the Super League. He's done it all, right? He's one of the best coaches of all time, probably the most underrated coach of all time, I would probably have to say, compared to your likes of Bellamy, Wayne Bennett, Ivan Cleary, that sort of thing there as well. Definitely goes into the annals as one of the best of all time. Yeah, it's crazy what has happened in the NRL sort of in the last 24 hours. That's pretty much my thoughts there on Payne Haas and the NRL situation there. Now, what I want to do is just briefly touch, I'll give you a little bit my review on these sort of NRL games that we've just had on the weekend. We had 2 trials. Footy is back. So freaking good that footy is back. We had 2 trials, Bulldogs and the Cowboys, and Knights and the Dragons. Now, Bulldogs did put out a full sort of Reggie's team, right? A lot of players, I don't think any players that are going to be in Vegas played this game at all. which is good. We got to see sort of a lot of up and comers play, get that opportunity sort of at that NRL kind of level there. On the Cowboys side, that sort of first 20 to 40 minutes, they did start some NRL players. They did have your likes of, Jackson Purdue playing. They did sort of have Robert Derby playing, Zach Labart, Jackson Barlow there as well. Jackson Purdue we spoke about, even Jake Clifford there a little bit as well. Thomas McKaylee, who was captain, which was really cool to see. Helium Lukey, first game back in easily over a year, got injured in the preseason last year. A lot of the names on this one we're seeing play an NRL level, right? Where it's Kai O'Donnell, where it's Sam McIntyre, where it's Zach Herdigan even, Caden Lars. A lot of these sort of guys that we've seen, even Wirren McGregor, we're seeing sort of play at these sort of level before. Now, I just want to give a couple standouts. So I thought Robert Darby, despite his he has hot and cold, he's diamonds and rocks, baby. He did score 2 tries, thought he was pretty solid there on that wing there. Again, had a couple drops. Zach Labour, I thought was very solid. I didn't get to watch all of this game, but I did definitely watch the most part of it there. I mean, Jay Clifford, this is an interesting one because we've heard throughout all of the preseason that Jackson Purdue is going to be in the 6th role for Cowboys there. Then you go watch this game, and I get it, it's just a trial, so first head out of the season. And you watch Jackson Purdue and Jake Clifford in the halves here. And Jake Clifford, man, he was the better half in this one here. He was the better half in this team here. Jackson Purdue, he was okay. I don't think he was amazing, though. And it just kind of leads you to think, is Jackson Purdue either not ready to go in the halves yet? Is he better off playing more games in the center role there? Maybe another year. He's only really stepped into this comp big time sort of last year where he stood out at center. It kind of gives you, I guess, Fletcher Sharp sort of vibes in a way. I wouldn't put Purdue on the same level as Fletcher Sharp, but I'm going to touch on that as well in the next game. And is Jackson Purdue just a good 1 or 2 years away from being, I guess, mature enough to be stepping into a halves role? Is he better off just being in a center role there? We can absolutely kill it. He's such a good ball runner. He's very threatening. And have Jake Clifford and Tom Dearden there in the halves. I can potentially see it happening during the year, 100%. I think they'll put Purdue in the halves to start the year in Vegas. However, if it goes to shit, which I think Todd Payton will be under a bit of threat this year, I can definitely see the Cowboys going with Jake Clifford and Tommy Dearden in the halves. There's definitely one sort of the standout that I sort of got from that game there. That Purdue didn't look too comfortable. I get it. It's just a trial. It's just a trial. But you can't deny that Jake Clifford looked pretty comfortable there in that 7 jersey. Looked very, very good. What were his sort of stats there? If I sort of go across, I think he had a couple assists. Sorry, I have to scroll right down, which is yeah, still not coming up. Anyway, I'll leave that there. But I said Jake Clifford I thought looked better than what Jack in the 7 than what Jackson Purdue looked there in the 6. So yeah, very interesting there for the Cowboys. Obviously, Helium Lukey played about 20 minutes. It was really good to see him score a try there, busted through in the first 5 minutes there. I would say he gets a starting jersey there on the right edge for the Cowboys there to start the year. A guy that obviously would have been starting there last year, which is a shame that he wasn't. But again, good to see Helium Lukey back and healthy. Now, the Bulldogs, a couple standouts for me. I thought Justin Matamua was really good in this game as well. Eamon Fitzgibbon scored a couple tries there in the second half. That is the son of Craig Fitzgibbon, which is really cool to see. Again, not too much that you can really take from this game from the Doggies there, just to kind of Reggie's hit out. I believe from what I've heard from like Gus Gould that they will be having they will be what's the word I'm looking for? Starting a bit more players this week. I believe we'll probably see like Matt Burnham. I don't think we'll see Mitch Woods because he's injured. But I'd say we might see a bit of Critter, might see a bit of Connor Tracy. I don't think, sounds like Karaz won't be playing. He's suffered a little bit of a setback. But sounds like we'll definitely see a bit more of a lineup named this week. Definitely for the Bulldogs. I think they are playing the Knights this week. I could be wrong. But yeah, just wanted to sort of give my thoughts on that one there. All right, let's quickly cross to the Dragons and Knights game here. So, Both teams essentially kind of started a half-strength team in that first half there. One of the standouts I want to start with the Dragons is Cade Reed. I thought he was unbelievable. I hadn't really heard too much of this guy previously before. And scored an unbelievable try. Just an instinct play to put that little grubber through it and regather it. I thought it was unreal. Kicked a couple for 2 out of 5 in conversions, but I thought he looked really settled into that 7-year-old there for the Dragons. And I haven't really heard of Cade Reed too much in the NRL sort of world. My main thing with Dragons is I thought they had back office issues because they'd let Jonah Glover go, who had been playing for the New South Wales Cup Dragons team for the last 2 seasons and taking them to grand finals and that sort of thing. And as I said, I thought it was interesting that Jonah Glover left. But now you've got the situation, and obviously there's a bit of... Obviously you got Atkinson in the halves with Kyle Flanagan there. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe the future isn't so bad for the Dragons at the moment, where they've got Cade Reed there ready to come through if needed. He's probably obviously a good year or 2 away from NRL sort of level, but that trial really did prove that he's got potential for sure, and he's got the instinct there, and he little handy number 7 there. So I thought I was really impressed with Cade Reed there. Obviously Setu too took an intercept there. I thought him and Farley were pretty solid there. Tuipulotu there, obviously on the wing there as well. Now, all of this says 80 minutes. We know all of these guys did not play 80 minutes. Toby Catchman played the first 20 minutes. I thought he was pretty solid. Ryan Catchman there as well. I thought he was pretty solid there on the edge. Again, I was sort of watching this game a bit off and on there. Probably wasn't my main talking point with the Dragons because we kind of know how they'll line up, I guess, in round 1. The main thing, I guess, is Setu 2 on the wing there over David Farley there. Most likely, we'll probably see Christian Tuipulotu starting on the wing there. Come Vegas, we heard he's come back from an injury, but sounds like he's going to be healthy enough there as well. I would say now that the start of Setu 2 on the wing, obviously rules out Tyrell Sloan of a wing slot in Vegas there as well. But my main thing is I want to talk about the Knights because they started Fletcher Sharp at 5'8", Sandon Smith at the halfback there as well. And I thought, apart from that chase down from Cade Reed, who I forgot to speak about that. Cade Reed chasing down Sandon Smith. Man, the Knights, they've got a hard decision to make. I'm not sure where Holbrook's already got it locked up. He knows exactly what he's going to do. But, man, they are in a pickle, I think. They have got a tough freaking decision to make because Ponga is obviously going to be your fullback. Now you're in a position where you've got like Fletcher Sharp, Sandon Smith, and Dylan Brown there who can all play in the halves. You're obviously going to put Dylan Brown there in the halves. I think he has to be your 6. It's been proven he can't play the 7. Then that leads to the point where you put Fletcher Sharp at 7. Then do you have the kicking game that Newcastle is after? That means do you put Sandon Smith in the 9/14 role? Where do you put Phoenix Crossland? If you want to put Dylan Brown and Sandon Smith in the halves, that means you put Fletcher Sharp there on the wing. That means you boot Greg Marzhew out. I think Greg Marzhew is still really good at NRL level. It's almost like too many cooks in the kitchen for Newcastle. It's kind of like the Titans situation that we've seen in the past where they're trying to fit in AJ Brimps and Jaden Campbell, Keanu Keeney, all these freaking players along with like Kieran Foran and Tanner Boyd into the halves there. And it's just an absolute clusterfuck. And it just doesn't end up going the way that it should. And they've got to either pick the combination and stick with it for 6 to 8 weeks. I would have probably thought like the starting stand at 7 in a trial. We'll probably see how they're lining up this week, I guess, as well. That he'll probably be starting 7 in Vegas as well. I'm not sure with Fletcher Sharp. I've literally got no freaking clue what's going to happen there. I've just got no idea. He's so freaking good with the ball. But it's kind of similar to the Jackson Purgey situation. Is he like so good that you need him to have the ball more often? Or do you still give him a year or 2 on that wing role there to sort of develop into a better player? And then later on, get him into that halves role there. Oh, it's just such a predicament. I honestly can't pick it. I don't know what I would do if I was Holbrook. Again, it's kind of a good problem to have in a way. I guess like you're one injury away, like a Ponga gets a HIL, something, an injury that he's had in the past. You can put Fletcher Sharp into that fullback spot there and it's kind of problem sorted. But you've got KP there. You're not going to boot KP out of the team. You're not going to boot Dylan Brown out of the team. Now you've essentially got one position there in that halfback role to either give to Sandon Smith, who will most likely be goal kicking and be more of a game manager and be that guy that kind of settles it down. Still has a strong running game, I think. Then you've got to put Fletcher Sharp in the starting team because he's way too threatening with the ball. That means probably booting Greg Marzhew at the team, which is something I don't entirely agree with because I think Greg Marzhew would start on the wing for a lot of NRL teams. It's just a freaking predicament. I've just got no idea. But going on from that, I thought Trey Mooney was very solid in the front there. Jermaine McEwen was late ruled out of this team pre-game, which is a bit of a shame. But Thomas Cant really stepped into that role really well. I thought Frizzell was okay as well. And then Brodie Jones, I thought his replacement for Thomas Cant, he was really solid. They both scored a try there, which was really cool to see what that right edge is going to be able to prove there. Thomas Cant also kicked a conversion, which I thought was really odd. I had no idea he had that in him. But just wanted to give you that sort of review on the trials. I'll be able to watch most of the trials this weekend coming. I'll be watching the Warriors trial for sure. We've got trials on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Oh, deep sigh of relief. We're freaking back. So freaking good. Even though it's just trials, but what are we, sort of 3 weeks away from Vegas now? It's all coming very nice and close, and I absolutely love it. So there you have it. There's my sort of review of the trials. Just a little debrief there. Mainly talking about Payne Haas and Adam Reynolds a bit there. But let me know what you think of this Payne Haas situation. Do you see him seeing out his contract, 3-year contract at Souths? I don't. If you do see him seeing out the contract, do you think he goes to R360 after the 3 years? Do you think he goes to another club? Do you think he stays at Souths? Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know what you think about this Broncos team for next year because it's very interesting now with their spine now. But yeah, that will do it. I'll love you and leave you. I'll be back for the trade room, obviously, later this week there. Obviously, we've got no more NFL, so I'll be doing more Supercoach content now. But that'll do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers.